Okay, can we start the meeting, guys? Okay, good. Sorry to interrupt. I know we already started and we're having fun, and we're kind of making this all up as we go along. But, okay, so the purpose of this is to kind of plan our first meeting and get ideas for doing the first kind of telethon day, talking about all the political content we want to talk about. So I'm Hugh, and that's Veronica. So, is she on camera? Good. Okay. And Jack's doing the switching. So this is awesome. So can we go around quickly and just get everybody's names so we know who we're dealing with? And because you weren't here at the last meeting, right?
I'm George.
George. Okay. Sorry, this looks so Hollywood, but we're trying to. Okay, George, and
John Erb.
John Erb. Okay. With the pot party.
Starring Christopher Telford as Mark Manuel.
And I saw Chris walking down Dundas Street the day after our last meeting.
Nahum Mann, otherwise known as Sky Fox.
Okay, great. And, okay, we need to talk at some point, Nahum.
Christopher.
Okay, Christopher. And there's Veronica over there. We got to get Veronica. Veronica, do you want to sort of start the meeting with where we go?
Sure. My name is Veronica Campbell, and I'm really happy to see everyone here. And we today are just talking about how we can dive into a full day of live coverage, discussion, political discourse, also a lot of fun stuff with regards to like culture and arts and entertainment and connecting it all together. So we wanted to video this meeting because we're going to crowdsource this entire adventure, and we want everyone to know how we put it together. So that's why we're here.
Right. So I'm not sure how this. I mean, we just, you guys just hopped on the cameras and with zero training, and Jack's over there doing the switching. So I don't know how good this is going to be. But okay. Okay. So it seems to me we're going to pick a date, right, and then we're going to plan a day. So let's not worry about the date right now, but let's maybe go around and get some ideas about what we want to do on that date in terms of the content. Is that a good way to approach it, do you think, Veronica? And I'll write them down over on the board here as we go. And also I'll bring up technical issues, because if you want to say, well, we want to land a man on the moon and film it in real time, I'll say, well, we need a rocket, okay? Or we need to figure out how that's impossible and then solve it. So why don't we start, George? Do you want to just start with, here, I'll just let you guys pass the mic around. And if you can just maybe give your ideas about content and stuff like that, I'll try to write them down on the board.
All right. I'm thinking like during part of the day, maybe to have like today in action around the world, and to get like a list of actions for that day that's going to take place, and maybe like get some like feedback of like what is actually going on over there at those times, like all around the world, and bring that into today's perspective of actions, and it'd be like that could be something that could be an ongoing thing eventually. And it's just like connecting like activism and seeing the correlation that is like collaborating around the world with like-minded people. And a lot of the times there's people that aren't even connected to each organization or each activism group, and so it's very interesting to see these great minds thinking alike, and fools seldom differ. So it's like depending on which one you are, I suppose. So, but I think that's like my idea is kind of just like today in action. This is what's happening. It's kind of like the news around the world about daily activism.
So here's the thing for me, where it comes to that on a technical side of thing, is we're going to have people around the world. Okay, now, and how do we interact with them live is the issue. And so what we have the capability right now, we can do phone. Mm-hmm. That's audio only, mm-hmm. right? We could do Skype, and that's video. Mm-hmm. And so we either have to get somebody on Skype, on location, mm-hmm. and we have to have them set up, and we have to schedule that.
Right.
So mm-hmm. I'm just saying from a technical point of view what's involved.
For sure. Like, even possibility would be the phone call would be an interesting thing to maybe speak with one of the organizers at the events that are taking place, and maybe just having like an online or a phone call conversation with maybe a picture of the event poster that's actually happening there, maybe some live coverage that may be possibly available already.
Okay, so that's great. Yeah, I mean, we can do interviews with anybody. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to identify who we want to interview, and then we need to contact them and say this is what we want to do, and then figure out the best way to connect with them, whether it's Skype, whether it's phone, whether it's some more esoteric way that we still have to figure out.
Yeah. Like ESP or something.
So, I mean, there's one thing right there. So I think everybody can take away from here is come up with your own list of people that you want to be interviewed on that day. And that's something that everybody can do. So that's some homework that everybody can have. So that's a great idea.
Great ideas, thanks. Adding to that, the idea of connecting people. Instead of reinventing the wheel, Facebook now works quite well. And if we could use an example of the day that just happened, May 24th. On that day, in over 50 countries, in over 300 cities, people gathered against Monsanto. What was missing on that day? What was missing on that day was an interconnection of what was going on. There was no clearinghouse of all the places that were active and able to broadcast. And if someone had stepped in and created, like what we're trying to do, a clearinghouse to say, okay, in these cities, we have a live feed that we can cut in on. So the live feed is already going on. And we can cut into our Facebook connected person. And thanks to Google and YouTube and all of that, you can do live streaming broadcast sent straight to your Facebook. So the technology already exists. Now, how easy is it to show people what we're looking at on the internet with a good feed? So I can show them the web pages and it looks good.
If we can pull up any computer and make it go full screen, like for example, if somebody's in Vancouver sending out a live stream, and we can make it go full screen on any of our workstations here, we can pull that into the video and the audio into our live stream. And yeah, Jack can switch it. Actually, Jack. Okay. So that's the answer to that question.
Excellent. So then we do have the full internet and every web page we could ever imagine accessible. So while we're talking, instead of the video showing us, the video should be showing the web pages we want to look at, or the websites we want to look at, or the spreadsheets we want to look at. And so if we were to do, well, there we go. And then we can switch over to a web page, or we could switch over to any kind of documents we want to go to, especially if we have a live person standing with a politician that we want to speak to. Or, for instance, if we had someone in City Hall right now, we could do Crack Watch. We could have people following Rob Ford around with their cameras to see if he's smoking crack in an alleyway somewhere, and it would be just hilarious to switch off to our person on Crack Watch. If we can raise $200,000 just to get a video, I'm sure we could raise some money through Indiegogo to do something funny like that. I mean, we could have
a private detective dressed like with the long trench coat, you know what I mean? Be like, we're here to see if Rob Ford is really smoking crack. And be like, let's find out. And we have the camera and stuff, and like there's a cameraman and the person, you know, and like they're hiding behind the corner, and he comes out of his office, you know, and you're like, let's follow him and see if he's doing crack, you know. And then he goes in the men's washroom or something, you send the camera guy in there, you know, and he's like clearly he is not smoking crack yet, but he is having a poo, you know, like things like that. You know, it'd be like really funny.
That would be very funny. We could have our man on the street who's in the trench coat and the whole 9 yards, and it could be, psst, I'm video recording.
Okay, here's the thing. I just want to say something. When it comes to comedy or any kind of sketch stuff, you know, first it has to be written, you know, and somebody's got to spend a lot of time writing this stuff unless it's totally improv, and then you got to have great improv people, right? And then you might be waiting all day for Rob Ford to show up. So I'm just saying, it's quite to do something like that live is getting really, really ambitious, and who's ever producing that aspect of it has to take all that into account, and might need a budget, and or otherwise just get everybody on the same page.
But if it wasn't live, it was just a pre-recorded. This is what we've got so far.
Okay, so going along with that, so we can do any kind of pre-recorded stuff. Okay. So if people have pre-recorded video, and I'm going to put that down here, we can just put it into that machine over there. And Jack, are we lose something there, Jack?
You're dark.
Here, that might help. Actually, you know what? We could turn some lights on. How about that?
Ooh, lights.
How's that for an concept?
There we go.
Okay. So, yeah, any kind of pre-recorded video we can just easily put into the system and turn it on anytime. Cut from the live to any kind of pre-recorded video.
Why don't
okay?
we consider what we already have available to us that we already have? Like, I've got a dozen pieces that are funny, that are improv, that are interesting pieces that we could link to that are all on YouTube already.
Okay, great. So that's another piece of homework for everybody. You know, catalog, inventory, your pre-recorded video that's appropriate, and get it together. Put it on a USB stick or put it on a CD. Make it not DVD format, although we can run DVD format, but we can run any kind of file format as well.
Like a news program, you know, like started off as a news program, and then like you could cut it to the tape if you'd be like, oh, this is what's happening, and you say it's like live happening right now, you know.
Absolutely. You can do it. I would suggest, just in my experience here, since we don't have huge budgets or anything, that we can keep it informal and light and conversational. And you got a couple of hosts or more, right, that have good chemistry, that are having fun on the air, that can talk about the issues. You get a couple other people on, say, some of these workstations. All these workstations can be brought into the production. Actually, Jack, you want to just cut to this computer for a sec, just to show you how you can cut to a computer. See? So he can pull up the desktop right then and there, and also the audio from the computer. So we can pull in audio, video, YouTube videos, live and on the go. So if somebody's over there and they say, we want to, I just found something on YouTube that's totally appropriate, we can simply just cut to it and pull it up, right? And just keep it all fun and live. People can phone in and say, did you see about this and that? And then we can pull it up and bring it into the production. So it can be totally interactive in terms of getting everybody involved.
So your call-in audience is actually involved with the format as it's created, because they could call in and say, I've got a YouTube video you should check out.
Yes,
things like this.
Absolutely.
Just look.
Absolutely.
Because the more involved the audience is, the more likely they'll come back and watch more. And if we have, one of the things I've been playing with, I've seen a lot of George Strophanopoulos lately, and the idea of sticking a big red chair or a couch out on a public space, I've done it. And it's amazing, because you put a couch out at the corner of College and Spadina, and you pretty much have a crowd right there. You already have an audience, and you've got things happening, and then suddenly you've got guests sitting on the couch, and everyone has something to rant about. So if you just do a rant section where you go to a populated place, put a couch down, and let people rant. They love to rant, and then they love to tell their friends that they were ranting on that channel, or
and maybe they wanted to make a donation while they're doing it.
Exactly.
I mean, even in City TV took a loony every time somebody did that on Speaker's Corner. So
Speaker's Corner.
absolutely, rant and contribution. Okay.
So if we had a mobile Speaker's Corner that wandered around as part of the show, and then we could say, now we're going to cut to our Speaker's Corner and get some input from the person who's right there on the scene, that's going to be popular too.
Popular, but tough to carry that furniture around, and so
Leave it to me.
Here's just having said that, it's kind of like a lot of great ideas, but somebody has to take ownership of any idea that we do. So
I've done all of these things myself.
Well, pick at least. You can pick all of them if you want, but somebody's got to say, I'm going to do the Speaker's Corner idea and make sure it all gets done. Okay, that's how we have to do it. You got to take responsibility for what you want to do. You're already signed up. You just let us know what time you want your Speaker's Corner to happen.
Oh, well then, there we are. I'll have to hand this over.
Hello. I don't really have many ideas about the live TV part of it. I'd definitely be more focused on like creating like the short.
That's okay, Veronica. It's all okay. Did we see that? I hope so. Okay, that's the kind of thing that goes viral.
Yeah, well, viral videos, I'm definitely interested in that. I don't see much like pull in terms of the live stuff. I've seen a lot of it, like there's Infowars.com, Bilderberg. That gets pretty popular, or it's getting more popular, but a lot of the live stuff is a lot of just raw video data, so I'd like to concentrate and pump out like a couple podcasts.
No, when you say that, well, like, what do you mean by that exactly? Like, do you mean audio only, or audio and video, and what are you thinking in terms of content?
Yeah, well, the podcast would be just video and audio. So you sort of like how Joe Rogan does his podcast, which is a 3-hour format.
You know, I think in terms of really being effective in terms of getting the word out about this, because we're going to be doing this stuff live, but of course not everybody's going to get a chance to see it live. So I think if we can, I think that's a great idea to grow the audience by taking what we do, say we do this one day, or if we're doing it every day, that we, as soon as we wrap for the day or whatever, we are in the process of turning that into a podcast so that we can grow our audience of people who are listening on podcasts. That way people can listen to the podcast on their cars during their commute the next day. And because we want to meet people where they can absorb the content. So I think doing it, and probably both as an audio and or a video podcast, makes a lot of sense. A lot of people get all their content through podcasting. So for sure, we could do that. One of the good things about that technology we have over here is it automatically creates an MP3 of as well as a video file of everything that we do.
Excellent. All right. So yeah, podcast, and like the skit. I like the skit ideas. I'd be into making some videos like that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really a topic guy. You guys have already come up with like a lot of great topics, like Monsanto and all that stuff. There's a lot of there's this website called trendhunter.tv. Jeremy Gucce. Yeah, he's got a really interesting thing going on, and I think that could be something to study or.
Is that Canadian?
Parallel. Yeah, he's in Toronto.
Yeah. Okay.
Trend.
In terms of your hands-on involvement, how do you see yourself being involved? Like on a day-to-day basis? On a day-to-day, yeah.
Basis.
Yeah, on the day. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I don't know if editing counts, but I would definitely be.
Do you do video editing?
Video editing?
What programs do you work with?
I do it with Premiere.
Okay, good. That's what we have here. Okay, great. Are you good at it?
Yeah.
Super. Okay, good. Awesome. That's great, because yeah, we're going to definitely need that.
Okay. And I like camera work as well, so I'll be into that.
Okay, cool.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Let's do Veronica.
Hello. Oh, I did it again. Okay, so I'm going to tighten this a little bit. Oh, no, it's not that. It's this. No? Okay. Thanks,
Don't worry
John.
about that. Just,
So
you know
anyway,
what? Just, yeah, tighten that up.
Thank you.
Yeah, see?
I'm looking forward to either being kind of like on location, reporting from somewhere, or sitting at a desk, tapping into lots of different people, doing amazing actions all over the place. And I think, yeah, if we can even get people like correspondents from all over the world, that would be amazing. We just have to decide what day is kind of the activated day to do that.
Well, we could start to put those feelers out now, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be one of the homeworks. So we can the homework for everybody is guest list, and that could be local. People we could either get in the room here, or people we can contact with Skype or phone or some other means, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to also bringing in some entertainment as well for the day, some music, and perhaps even showcasing some artists in their neighborhoods in Toronto, which would be really awesome to look at street art and the way that art really is such an integral part of any sort of communication.
Yeah. And part of a balanced lifestyle.
Balanced lifestyle, yes.
Right?
Get your brand and your sugar.
No, but it's good to mix it. People want to have fun. Because if people who are watching and participating, and it's going to be more than watching, because I think we have to elicit everybody's actual response, right? We have
Absolutely.
to do more than just watch TV. We have to
Yeah,
It's
we
an
have to be
interactive-
even contributing. Like
Yeah.
as viewers, we're contributing in some way.
Yeah. So, so that can go to everybody too. So we can come up with a list of the topic guests, but also entertainment guests,
Yeah.
and we kind of mix it up as we go along.
Absolutely. And for the day that we're doing, I think in this room we already know the really important topics that we want to cover. So if we each also part of the homework would be like crafting how you want to present that story, whether it's with a guest or whether it's through art or whether it's in a report. And then we can make sure that we hit on the things that are really close to our hearts right away in that first day.
Yeah.
Starting in St. James Park.
Okay, so that sounds to me like
Yeah.
pre-production videos. Okay, so if somebody wants to take the role of being a producer of producing that little segment, then produce it and bring in that video file in here.
I'll produce it. I have a Restius camera in my bag. I'm sure a camera will find me if I seek to produce that. Yeah. Oh, we definitely have to get Occupied Gardens in.
Well, we got Jacob, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Jacob's a good friend of ours.
Right on.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, all the seedlings, how they're doing. We'll
They're
check
getting bigger
in.
every day.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have a frost now.
No.
It's a little late for that. I just want to say, so that again goes to that whole idea of being a producer. And I think maybe what we need to do is come up with sort of a one-page template that's like a producer form. And so if you want to produce anything, whether it's a live segment or whatever, it's like a one page, you just fill in the blanks, and then it helps focus everybody's thoughts about what it really is all about in terms of producing the segments, and then we all know what we're going to get.
That's a great idea.
Stuff like
Yeah.
it's going to be this long, how long it's going to be, who's going to be involved, is it going to be on the phone, Skype, whatever, so that when we're producing it, we know what to expect, right? So that's something I can put together, is a one-page producer's document.
Awesome. I think with that document, we'll actually attract a lot of people who can plug into that
Yeah.
with clarity.
Just to get a feel of the other side's position and how they felt to do their job morally, ethically, I think it would be interesting. Be like, how did you feel like tearing down people's tents, and like separating them from like their freedom of speech and peaceful assembly, things like that, maybe, like just.
It sounds like investigative reporting now.
See, now that what you're just talking about there is like, that's what producing the segment is all about.
Yeah.
You have the vision of what you want that segment to be all about, and you want what you want it to say. So let's leave that as producers, feel free to produce all the segments you want.
And then, yeah, we can plug them in with previously recorded material. And then maybe the segment also has some live interview. So there's a previously recorded bit that sets it up, and then an interview live about the same issue.
And all that kind of stuff will
Yeah.
be indicated on the producer's template form.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have to say.
Okay, do you want me to pass that along? Okay, Nam, here you go.
Thank you. So I guess a lot of my interests are in production, making short videos, that sort of thing. Definitely as an anchor or someone behind the desk, sort of cutting to and pulling in different people to talk to is somewhere I feel fitted. My two ideas, one, I'm a big fan of Nardwuar, the human serviette.
Me too. I love Nardwuar.
He's
Nardwuar,
from,
the human serviette?
Yeah.
From BC.
Yeah, he's from Vancouver. Really famous for doing interviews with musicians, politicians. It's his shtick.
Snoop actually made fun of him in one of his videos.
Oh, Snoop and him are best friends.
I know.
Yeah.
But Snoop steals all his records.
So I watch a lot of his videos. Like, I'm really inspired. I love to do interviews. So I think as like an ongoing concurrent sort of idea for me, I'd like to do a similar interview, see who I can get. I do understand that chances are a lot of that is going to be pre-produced. Just lining up interviews isn't always going to work live. And then the other idea that I had was in terms of full day, 24 hours, how this 24 hours of programming would look like. I thought about doing a more laid back, you know, a little bit of interviewing, a little bit of like hard questioning on current events, but a lot of music, and doing sort of like a John Gameshi live recorded radio for later in the night. So
Okay, I think as we get to as we head towards 24/7, right? I think that's our ultimate goal. Then we'll need to fill up all those slots with really competent hosts that can produce all their own segments and stuff like that.
yeah, definitely.
I think what you're talking about in terms of, like sitting behind a desk and kind of pulling in involvement, essentially, right? So I think the kind of skills that are really helpful there are good social media skills, I'm just talking ideally here, but ideally somebody that really kind of knows Twitter inside out, knows Facebook inside out, and is able to just get a lot of people involved using those tools and any other tools that they know how to use as well. So, and of course, somebody doing that role here, say at that desk over there, they can be talking to anybody. If they can pull it up live, they can bring it into the production, and who's ever sitting there can be involved in the conversation that's happening in the room at any time. And so that's a super useful role.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and anchor again. I love doing anchoring, so always happy.
Okay. Great. But we're going to need lots of that.
All right, so I don't think we exactly touched on what the one-day framework would be. So I kind of have an idea of what the framework would be.
Okay.
Which is, I think you were talking about, Veronica, doing a morning show. Yeah. So, like, ideally, if we do one day, like, we have to see what are we telling them, and what kind of framework can we use. Also, like, if we're gonna do like a one-day kind of, I don't know, the word I'm looking for, experiment, it needs to be an experiment of the framework of how the other days would go following that. So a morning show kicking it off for like 3 hours. And during that time also, if you have somebody at City Hall, for instance, like you yourself, John, looking for that sketch, looking for that funny bit, if you're always there, or even if, like right now we have the Crack Ford scandal happening, you can be there when the media scrums are there. Like, you phone us up and you say, the media scrum with Ford's about to happen. Shoot to the morning show. Because that's when everything's going to happen. It's going to happen at the beginning of City Hall's opening and at the ends. And we have two different places in Toronto that we can be. We can be at City Hall or we can be at Queen's Park. Either or, depending what's going to be more interesting and what we want to cover. So if we have one guy on the ground kind of like running back and forth on different days to be able to cover that during the morning, I think that would be good. And then we have to find hosts for the morning. And then that covers pretty much 3 hours. I don't know if you're willing to do hosting in the morning or if you're doing something else.
As long as there's good coffee there, I'm all about that. And I'm not talking Starbucks either. I'm talking Tim Hortons.
What about the homebrew?
And even homebrew. I like Folgers or Maxwell House. I usually get the big things at Staples. It's cheap there. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
No, that's
This morning show brought to you by Tim Hortons.
yeah. Were you asking a question?
Just if you'd host that, what do you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
And I think once we nailed that, it's getting easier and easier all the time for people to be able to go anywhere and do a live TV reporting with these new iPhones and HD cameras and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So if we can kind of nail down a procedure about how to do that, then we can open it up to anybody who's got one of these devices to become a reporter, so that we don't have to make it a lot of work for people.
Yeah.
If somebody that is involved happens to be at Queen's Park that morning, well, then they're already there, right? Or if they're at City Hall, they're already there.
Well, we can also have like almost use live stream or whatever other streaming we have going on for whoever the raw video person is that's just waiting for a story, so to speak, at City Hall or Queen's Park. They could be just mirroring whatever they're doing, or not mirroring, but like just streaming whatever they're doing the whole time.
Yeah.
And then when we're ready, we can just go and pop it off the computer and mirror that on. You know,
Absolutely, it's so easy to do. They
Yeah.
can do it with Ustream, they can do it with Livestream, they can do it with Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy to do now.
So that'd be awesome.
We just got to streamline the process for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should probably have a test day before even the test day.
Does anybody have one of those devices that you're able to stream easily and instantly from your your device? What do you got? Okay, so we could do a test. Why don't you set yourself up for live streaming, and then we'll test that. Really?
Yeah, HD, the latest Logitech HD webcam would be probably necessary.
And does it stream live?
It would stream live on his net, in his network.
It doesn't know the difference. It's dumb. It doesn't know
Okay.
whether it's live.
All right.
I'm just saying to make sure it's high quality.
Right.
Most webcams.
You know what? It doesn't even need to be high. I'll tell you, it doesn't need to be that high quality. That's right. The most important thing you can do is have good audio, right? So 32 kilobits per second is, you don't want to go less than that. That's FM quality is 32 kilobits. Okay. Huh? Well, an FM, we used to think that sounded good now, right? 128K MP3, to me, that's good enough. Okay. All right. Okay, Chris.
So I got more.
Okay, go.
Also a political show. So something that can run also every day. Because I'm thinking about trying to get everyday programming. Because if we're trying to go 24/7, we have to have the things that are always recurring and that people want to always, like, they know it's coming, so they watch it. So for instance, CBC stopped live streaming their Power and Politics show, which is the only only show that actually covers what happens at federal government every day. So there's a lack even from our own broadcasting company or whatever,
Right.
the own broadcasting company,
Yeah.
on what's actually happening for internet streamers in our federal government buildings. So I'm thinking that it might be a good idea to provide that now. Technically it's an alternative, but until they actually start streaming that again, which probably is going to be never because CBC doesn't get enough money anymore, we can provide that. So if we have someone who's actually trying to cover the politics, like I know I read a lot of politics. I try to read Globe and Mail and all the stuff and keep up with things. So I'd be willing to actually host and try to work on the pre-production stuff for a show that would run about 3 hours that just covers what's happening in politics. And then to make it easy, streamline it and have it in federal government, provincial, and municipal. And then that way we can also line up it's not just me talking for 3 hours. We can have interviewers come in, we could have counselors come in and talk about the bill that they're going to try and pass tomorrow. We can just get 3 guys sitting around a table and a girl and call it 3 guys and a girl. And, have a 15, 25 minute segment where they're just talking about, all the latest news and all the screw ups. So very much base it off of what kind of already exists, but then put the whole, independent stream to it.
Can I?
And
Sorry.
be able to cut, if you lined it up, be able to cut to someone in Vancouver, cut to someone in Montreal. If there's there's riots happening somewhere, or there's an election, whatever it is, that way, we've got someone in Vancouver.
Okay, can I just suggest something?
Yeah.
Okay, what you're talking about sounds very ambitious. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay, but planning a show like that from what you're telling me, is going to take you weeks.
Well, for the one show, it might take me a little bit, but I already have everything in my head, right?
Look,
Mike Duffy.
All I'm saying
There's
is
an
this,
hour.
and I have a little bit of experience in trying to
Yeah.
do a show here every day for 2 hours.
Yeah.
For 5 years, I did a show here every weekday for 2 hours, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what works with minimal effort. And I'm not saying you can go a little beyond the minimal, but lining up guests.
Yep.
First of all, you can do your research and you can do like a newscast. You can talk about political issues.
Yeah.
I think you want to have somebody so that you're not just talking alone. You want to have somebody you can
Yeah,
have a conversation with.
Yeah, you have to bounce ideas off of people, and yeah, definitely.
And then it's just like this. Then it's just a question of then what's the show going to be? You can have talking points like that. Go through some news. Then you can have guests. Then you can phone people and do interviews. But what I would say is start with something like start with an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Start by planning. If we're going to do that day and you want to do that, start with an hour and line up an hour and just do that as one day and see how that goes. Because you're going to learn. I'm just going to say you're going to learn a lot. You're going to lot, and then you're going to know the next time what you need to do better and what you need to do different and what you shouldn't do and what you should maybe try. I'm just saying.
To have like a call-in session that the host actually calls, like let's say these tar sands are like about to expand a little bit. Let's call the CEO and see what's going through his mind. You know what I mean? And be like, yeah, live broadcast, and be like, yes, I'd like to speak to Jack so and so, and then you get him online. Be like, yes. So in today's news, we heard that you were going to allow this. How do you feel, and what was your thought process? Eh? What were you thinking? You know? And you'd be like, who is this again? And be like, yes, we're from the Activism TV. You know, and you just go in there and kind of like see what they're thinking about. You know, and so people could be more informed. You know, like.
Yeah, that's one of my huge things too. Like, it's not just gonna be me. Like, I like to contact counselors and I like to contact like different people. So, like going into the show, I'm already gonna have like statements that I can read. Like on this, you know, the Mike Duffy scandal, I'll contact somebody, one of the senators, and actually get them to give me some sort of like comment back, and then I can actually say we can throw it up behind me on the green screen if we can get like that eventually. And you know, it's right there, and you read the statement and yada yada yada. Then we have a 15-20 minute talk just on the answer and what that person said.
Okay,
I am very ambitious. But
Listen, do it.
All right, I'll do it.
I'm just saying, do it. Work within the technical constraints.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad that wasn't on camera. Okay, it's a. Okay, and just look at that. Look at these guys. They're just on it. You know what we have? We had 2 seconds of training before we started this show here today. Okay, Chris. Yeah, you can do. Let's do that. Okay, what else do you have in terms of the structure of the show? Let's try to get finished in another 10 or 15 minutes.
I think John can have a sketch comedy show for at least half hour. I think he can possibly put that together, but it's pre-production, obviously.
Here's the thing. I just want to mention this. If you want to do that, don't suggest for somebody else to do something.
Oh, yeah.
Let them. I mean, you can suggest
there.
it, but
I'm there.
whoever's going to do a show needs to take the responsibility for doing it.
Yep. I'm in on the political show.
Okay.
I'll have you 3 hours written out.
That's okay.
I'll
That's
have
okay.
3 hours
What else do you have in terms of the structure?
Nothing really.
Okay, that's okay.
I think. At night, like later in the day, I think we can do things that are a little bit more sketchy. So conspiracy theory shows, like the sketchy stuff, the conspiracy theory stuff. I think we can do that at like between 8 to 10.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. We've actually already got a conspiracy show here that we can kind of run. So
Perfect.
and we can do more of that.
All right.
It's not a conspiracy. It's a factoid.
A factoid. That works. That works with me. So yeah, but I just think we got to get some blocks of time where we know this is gonna be pre-production, this is gonna be live. So if we just have an idea of what can actually try and fill those. So like for me, I definitely think we need a morning show, need a political show, and maybe just an hour news show. And I'm willing to do the news show and the political show. Whether that's like in front of the camera, definitely for the politics show, and then the news show, I can just like, amalgamate information and then try and get that there.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay,
I think
cool.
that's my thing.
All right, awesome. Let's see what Jack. Jack, do you want to weigh in here? Make sure you don't stop switching those cameras, though.
Yeah, this is gonna be all right. Oh, hey, you switched me. Yeah, it's very hard to critically think and like take in information while you're doing this. So I'm another not really topics kind of guy. I think I might have found my niche. I think until further notice, I'm gonna be here. I like this. Because as I said in the first meeting, I don't really feel I'm in a place where I want to be passing on the information that is contained within this. So I'm just going to be a conduit for better information, I think. So here's your microphone.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's take it around. And Cindy, do you wanna say anything here? You're doing such an awesome job on the camera. Okay, all right. Sorry. Yeah, let's do a wrap
One
up.
thing more came to my mind was maybe to have like a showing of documentaries, movies that are like related to the topic itself in the evening.
That's a good idea.
And the other thing, if you can't fill in the 24-hour slot, maybe to have a 12-hour slot and then to rerun the 12-hour slot for people that have missed the first portion of the segments.
Yep.
So it'd be like a 2 12-hour showings of the same thing.
Those are great ideas. Okay. You want to pass it along and we'll go around?
I wanted to spend some time in homework thinking about who our audience is. Who's watching this? Because the average audience now only watches for maybe 40 minutes longest, and then they're switching. People are switchers right now, and as soon as things get boring, they switch to the next channel or they switch to something else. So unless they're actively involved, a 3-hour thing is going to put a lot of people to sleep unless they're involved in it. So the other thing is the format. We're thinking in terms of a linear format where it's this show, this show, this show. But the internet has taught us that everyone has choice. And so people are going to say, I want to watch this 10-minute segment of this 20-minute segment of this, and this 5-minute segment of this. So instead of us saying, well, this is the 12-hour lineup, they're not going to want the 12-hour lineup. They're going to want, the viewer's going to want to switch from this to this to this to this. So it's almost like we're creating a huge buffet of content instead of just a 6-course meal of shows, because of the interactivity of the audience that we're looking for.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
Having given this and been in this thing for a long time, I've thought about all those issues. So first of all, everything that we do, don't forget, we're going to repackage it, throw it up on YouTube where it will live forevermore. So people will be able to go to that smorgasbord whenever they want. I think there is some value. Don't forget, remember, people still, like, they'll throw on the CBC and they'll listen to it all morning while they're making their stained glass lamps or whatever, you know. And so I think we kind of want to think in those terms, and I think we can be that new CBC, that new way that the content that people listen to or have in the background while they're doing their stuff, okay? And even as more and more people spend their whole day on their computer, I think we can be that source. They don't need to reach over behind them and turn on the radio or have the TV on over here, because they're right there. We're just one of their browser windows that are open while they're doing their other stuff. That's what I'm thinking.
So the background noise, the thing they throw
The soundtrack to your life.
Yeah, and so it adds to them instead of takes them away. So instead of trying to get their whole attention, we get to be the background that they just constantly have on, like CBC in the background.
Yeah.
So then audio and focusing on audio is really important, because people can do stuff while they're listening to audio. But if they're watching visual as well as audio, they can't do as much.
So maybe we should even, there's technical issues around all that stuff. And of course, the YouTube after the fact can all be video, but maybe our live stream only needs to be audio.
If we have
Or with an
people
optional
behind the
video.
scenes, for instance, if we have anchors who are just the voice of
Yeah.
God in the background, commenting on things, then that is the connective tissue between. I played with ideas called the Weedia. But the problem with Weedia, Weeedia, instead of media, it's Weedia, because it's everybody inputting.
Plus there's weed involved.
It was going to be pot. And so the problem with the Weedia is there's pot involved.
That's very bad.
That's problematic.
Stuff
But
should be illegal.
the concept of Weedia is that we can just upload all of these people's contents and they can feel a part of it. The more people we have including, the more audience we have, especially if it's global.
Okay, can we seriously like wrap up in like 5 minutes?
I just had some quick points. For the news program, have you heard of We Are Change? That's like, and totally networkable too, and I see that as being something that you should do. The Newsroom is a TV show. That's a pretty sick show. I don't know, more, when I look at that show, I like the idea of like process-oriented kind of news gathering and teamwork and collaborative kind of role-playing. So definitely more interested myself in process orientation rather than result orientation.
That's a cool idea. You know what would be cool is even though while we're going through this, we're doing what we're doing, we should be recording the process of it, and that could be a reality TV series in itself. Okay, so that's a great idea. Okay, can I just suggest that we here's what I want to suggest, because I really do want to wrap it up here, but I don't want to, if you got any final thoughts that we got to say, then we can do that. I just want to say that what we can do, if we got some homework, so we can all come up with a guest list, and that guest list can be the political, serious content, it could be the entertainment content. Anybody who wants to catalog and produce their inventory of video files that we can use, then we can do that. Anybody who wants to produce any kind of segment, just take that role on. I'm going to produce the template and send it out to everybody. And the other thing I want to suggest is anything that you think of that we haven't been able to get out of this meeting, you can put that together as well. So that's, if we're missing anything here at the end as we wrap up very quickly, we can always tack that onto our homework. Veronica, did you have any final thoughts, sir?
I just wanted to remind everyone to think of a potential day. This is also part of the homework, a potential day to dive into this. And a potential date on the calendar.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because that will dictate a lot of what we can prepare before then, because if it is 4 weeks from now, that's different than 8 or 9 weeks from now. And I also just want to thank everybody for being here. And the, what was it? Oh, the process. I'm also really, really into filming the process because I love that show, The Newsroom. I love it. It's like crack.
Okay, so if you guys think of that, think in terms of when you're thinking about that, what is it about it that you love? Is it the style? Is it the camera work? Like pay attention to the production, the ingredients that they use in the production that make it so good. Is it the writing? Is it the way that they
It's Aaron Sorkin, so it is pretty
see, I don't even know
awesome
that
writing.
show, okay? I don't even know that show. But anyway, but we can do that. But if it's an ambitious project to do it, because there's a lot of stuff to cover. If you think it's work putting this all together, for you to cover it all, and how many cameras do you need, and you need a staff of people, and then you're going to do the editing, is going to be a nightmare. Okay, can we wrap it up then?
Yeah.
Because we can all add to this after this. So thanks everybody for coming out. And Veronica, can I leave it to you to get email addresses from other people that weren't here the last time? I think everybody's the same except for
Yeah, I'll add George on if he wants
George.
to be added on the list.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay.
All right, cool. So we'll see you all Saturday in Ottawa, right?
Saturday.
Beauty.
Ottawa.
Woo. I'm going to, yeah. I'm not sure what yet.
Like, if I can find a chair, I'll dig a chair up from somewhere and I'll set up a big
Okay.
No, I find stuff.
We'll find a chair in Ottawa.
Okay. Great. All right,
Awesome.
so let's wrap it up. Thanks, guys. This is awesome. And we got amazing camera work, Cindy.
Woohoo!
And Veronica.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
Jack. Okay.
Awesome.